Welcome to the University of Nottingham and the Department of Theology and Religious Studies. Welcome to another in the series Sacred Calendars, where we look at festivals and feasts in different religious traditions. With me today, we have Mr. Shujahat Aslam, who is an imam here in Nottingham, who occasionally also gives the Friday sermon at the University of Nottingham's mosque. Shujahat, welcome.
Thank you.
Today we'll be talking with you about Eid-ul-Fitr. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about what Eid-ul-Fitr is?
Sure. The word Eid in Arabic means celebration or festivity. So Eid-ul-Fitr is the first festivity in the Islamic calendar. It's linked to the blessed month of Ramadan, and Ramadan is the month in which Muslims the world over fast. That means they don't have anything to eat or drink throughout daylight hours. Fasting in the month of Ramadan lasts for 29 or 30 days. After 29 days, Muslims go out to seek if it's the day of Eid-ul-Fitr or not. This is determined by whether the new moon is sighted, which shows that the Islamic month of Ramadan has finished. If the new moon is sighted, it means that it's the day of Eid, so all the fasting ends on that day. And in the Islamic calendar, the night precedes the day, so therefore first of all you have the night of the day of Eid-ul-Fitr, followed by the day.
So you're looking for the moon when? In the night?
Yeah, that's right. So in the evening, so once the 29th fast is finished, you open your fast.
Okay.
So this is kind of evening time. Therefore, people will go out and sort of see if the moon is sighted. If there's a new moon there, it means that the month of Ramadan has finished and the new month has started. Therefore, this indicates that's the beginning of Eid-ul-Fitr.
Mm-hmm.
So you go through the night, which is pretty much the same as previous nights, except that you don't pray the kind of night prayer, the Tarawih prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But really, Eid starts in the morning. The first and most important thing as a kind of religious ritual or festival that you have to do is to be charitable on the day of Eid. So you have to pay a certain amount of money called Zakatul-Fitr. Okay? So this is kind of given generally in foodstuffs, so it's kind of grain or wheat or barley, kind of an equivalent of about £5 worth of foodstuff is given to the poor. Okay? So in an Islamic country, you would go before the time of the Eid prayer and the poor people would be gathered and you give that foodstuffs to them. Clearly in the UK, it's not quite easy to do that. So generally what Muslims would do during the month of Ramadan, they would give the money to an Islamic charity who would then arrange to spend that money on their behalf to the poor, wherever they may be.
On the morning of the Eid?
Yeah, generally it should be done before the Eid Salah. So generally they try and do it as soon as possible up to the time of Eid Salah. And so the benefit of this is that the poor can participate in Eid along with the rest of society as well. And once that's done, the next perhaps most significant thing is going to the Eid Salah or the Eid Prayer. This is now a specific prayer which is held only on the days of Eid. So a Muslim is encouraged to bathe on that day in the morning. He's encouraged or she's encouraged to eat as well, to make it different from the days of fasting which have just preceded. So by eating, generally it's an odd number of dates. So the Muslim bathe, put on their best clothes, have something to eat, and then make their way to the masjids to pray, or the masalla, or the place of prayer. What's very important here is that really is the whole family going to the place of prayer. It's not just a question of men going or men and women, really it's men, women and children. On the way to the prayer, the people should be remembering God and glorifying Him. Traditional words to say are Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd, which is mentioning the greatness of God and that God is one and praising Him. So the people would arrive then for the Eid prayer. And another important point to note that the Eid prayer is no longer held in the mosque traditionally on the day of Eid. So generally prayers are held within the mosque, as you know, 5 daily prayers, people should go. But for the Eid Salah, it should be held out in an open area. It shouldn't be held really in the mosque. Part of that reason is because it really is a whole community coming together. So you can't really cram the whole community normally in a mosque. I mean, in the UK, in the West, we do it in the mosque generally, primarily because it's very cold outside often, and therefore it's much easier to do it in the mosque. But in an Islamic country, people will go out to the Eid Musalla to pray the Eid prayer. So once you arrive there, the imam will lead the people in prayer. There's 2 rakats or unit of prayer, followed by a kind of sermon by the imam. Okay? And that really is the most important religious significance action done on the day of Eid, along with the charitable giving which was done earlier.
Okay. May I interrupt you?
Sure.
When does this occur in the morning? Right after sunup or later?
Yeah, very early, right after sunup, generally kind of about 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, so it's very early.
It's very early, and it's even more difficult trying to get all the kids together, obviously getting everyone out, but you know, you kind of cram together, and they're obviously quite strictly on time, and it must be prayed in Jamaat or congregation.
Okay.
So you'd go to the Eid prayer, the imam would pray first, so the prayer comes before the sermon. So generally it's the other way around. In a Friday sermon, for example, you'd have a Friday prayer, you'd have the sermon first, followed by the prayer. In the Eid, it's the prayer followed by the sermon. And in the sermon, the imam is exhorting everybody to praise God, thank Him for the month of Ramadan, and to be good people. Following that really is when Eid begins, because you start the Eid greetings traditionally after the Eid Salah. So generally people will say to one another, Eid Mubarak. That's a very common greeting, which kind of means happy Eid. The other statement we often hear people saying is, Taqabbal Allah minna wa minkum. May Allah accept it from us and from you. And that's a very significant statement because it's linking the Eid back to Ramadan. So meaning may Allah accept the fasting that we've done, the prayer, the Quran, and accept it from us and from you. Okay. So the Imam will first of all say the Eid greeting to the people, and then really the people will start to greet one another, and the day of Eid, the festivities really begin at that point. From there on onwards, it's a time of enjoyment really and relaxation. Lots of kind of food being distributed at the Eid prayer, particularly with kids. There's families getting together, lots of exchanging of gifts, which is not really a compulsory part of the Eid, but obviously it's a very nice pleasantry to do, and people will exchange gifts. They'll visit one another at people's houses, and it's really very much a community atmosphere. Nearly everybody's off work. In Islamic countries, obviously there's national holidays, but even here in the UK, many kids are off school on that day and really participating and making the most of the day of Eid.
Is this just a one-day holiday, or is it?
Sure. Eid-ul-Fitr tends to be a one-day, which differs from Eid-al-Adha, which is a 3-day.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we do have the issue where people celebrate Eid on different days. That can happen because obviously it depends upon the sighting of the moon. So depending on which part of the world that you're in, the moon may be sighted on a different day. So hence there might be some differences in which the day of Eid is celebrated. But Ramadan is always 29 or 30 days followed by the day of Eid.
Okay. Somewhere in my reading, I noted that some people visit tombs or graves during the Eid.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit that to us?
I mean, like we mentioned, the Eid is really much a family or a community occasion. And on that occasion, some people try and kind of remember their deceased relatives. So though it's not really a confirmed practice of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, just kind of out of courtesy, people may well go to the graves, ask for forgiveness for their deceased relatives, and just bring back memories to themselves, really, isn't it? So it does happen on occasion. People do go to the graves.
Can you tell us something about more about the children's involvement and the gifts, and is this something like Christmas for Christians, or how's this look?
I mean, for the children, it's really a great festivity. They're really looking forward to it, because as you can imagine, the Ramadan, many of them are fasting as well if they're above the age of puberty. So they're really looking forward to Eid. And you can draw parallels with the festivity of Christmas in the sense of exchanging gifts. Obviously, they're getting very excited. They're giving their list to parents of what they want for the day of Eid. Traditionally, as you would see in a Christian festival as well. And obviously on the day of Eid, really I suppose, well, it could be given before the Eid prayer or even after the Eid prayer. Children get involved, they're given their gifts, obviously they run around very excited, etc. And the whole day, you know, there's kind of that bit about festivities in terms of the gifts of Eid, but also in terms of the food as well, because you just got to imagine that for the previous 29 or 30 days, people haven't been having lunch or tea or dinner. So really the kids are really enjoying themselves, probably overindulging a little, but obviously that's to be expected on the day of Eid, isn't it?
We noticed that the day of the Eid moves in the calendar.
Sure.
Can you help us understand why that is happening, or what's going on?
The Islamic calendar is based upon the moon, upon the lunar calendar, and therefore in that way it tends to move 10 days, moves by 10 days each year. So it makes it a little bit difficult because you can't kind of predict for definite when the day of Eid is going to be. So there's a little bit of uncertainty on kind of working forward as to when Eid might be.
Okay, well, it's been a pleasure to have you with us, Shujahat, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much.